Alright, so now we go on to Terminator 3. Rise of the Machines. Took me a second. So, most people say this is the worst of the Terminator movies, and I don't get it. From the way they presented these films, it's a logical step to go. Maybe not a female Terminator per se, but it works. I think maybe, people have said, they put Edward Furlong on such a high pedestal. And they say, bring him back because everyone else has sucked since trying to take him over. Okay, first of all, Nick Stahl, who plays John Connor in this, is not a bad John Connor. Is he the best? No. Is he the worst? Maybe? I don't know. To be honest, I've never minded the way they took John Connor in this film. And I've never minded Nick Stahl's acting either. It makes sense that after what happened with the second film, that he would be, kind of unsure of what the future would bring. Because they thought they stopped Judgment Day, so he might be a little paranoid. Just might be paranoid. I'm avoiding the lines because I just can't sleep. Whatever. I don't know the words, but it makes sense he'd be living off the grid and kind of, doing things away from the system. It makes sense. Popping himself with drugs, not so much, but it's a logical step for him to be trying to be aware of his, where they might have succeeded. And his mom died. Yeah, they were originally going to bring Linda Hamilton back, but after she died in the middle of the film, the original script had her dying in the middle of the film, she said no. And she didn't come back at all. Which I said before, she should have died in between the first and second films. It would have worked. And could have made more sense of him living on his own after the events of the first one. Or the second one, whatever. But yeah, his mom died, and he's still not sure if he's safe. Sarah was never sure if she was safe. She lived. He says in the thing that she lived to make sure the Judgment Day was over, but he was never sure about it, and it makes sense that he would try to live off the grid. They also present the form of a wife for John Connor in this, Catherine Brewster, played by Claire Danes. And for what it is, I think most of the hate from this comes from the part that they do say that John Connor is killed off. Like he's not important anymore. And, well, not to spoil anything, but they do the same thing with Terminator Dark Fate. And I'll say the same thing I'm going to say in my review of that. It makes sense. John Connor served his purpose. And now it's Catherine Brewster who's the one, that has the purpose. She's going to lead after he dies. And, it works. They send another T-800 back. It's Arnold again. For what I see, Arnold does a great job. I know people point to the comedy in this, talk to the hand. Maybe it's a little bit much, but I never minded it. I think this one is on par with the first one, at least. It's not as good as the second one. And I know I've ranked them both at 9. I ranked them both at 9. Or rated them both at 9. But everybody holds those first two, especially the second Terminator film, on so high of a pedestal that nothing else could possibly be better than that. So every Terminator movie we get, people are comparing it to T2 because that's what they want to do. They don't look at this as, you know, hey, we get another chapter in the Terminator franchise. Cool. No, they say, oh, we get another movie that's trying to beat T2, but it's never going to beat T2 because T2 is the greatest Terminator movie of all time and can never beat anything. While that is somewhat true, you got to give these movies a chance. Because everything between 3 to Dark Fate, people have shit on. Even Salvation, which some people might say isn't that bad. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've only seen it once, maybe twice. I'm going to have to watch it again. I know I am because this movie, but because of this franchise review. But I really don't get the hate for this. Yes, like I said, the humor injected in this is kind of like when the cop stops the TX, who's a female in this, and she makes her boobs bigger. When I first saw that, I laughed. And now it's like, okay, I get what people are saying. Just start going, It's kind of just like, but what's that different from regular women going, puffing them up for the cop to get aroused by? I mean, come on. It's basically the same thing, only women can't enlarge them automatically like that. Imagine if they could. It's like, you know? But, yeah, it's just, you know, just think about it, you know? And so they present this idea that John would have met Catherine earlier if Terminator 2 had not happened. Okay. But so what? My point is, I would have met you sooner if the Terminator hadn't come back and, you know, pulled him out of his life. But what would that have done anyway? 'Cause the one thing I don't understand, I don't know if they explained it. I didn't hear it if they did. See, they explained in T2 that the reason that everything is going on is that they had the CPU from the first Terminator from 1984. So, what do they have? They destroyed everything from the previous encounter from T2. So, what is this that they're doing? What is it like? They just see. That's the one thing that's always confused me about this. Maybe that's why people are kind of down on this. Is that they don't give an explanation. They just say, "Oh, we got all this technology that makes the Terminators of the future. We just have it." We don't say how we get it. We just got it. That's maybe the one down I give this, is that one negative I can give this is that they don't explain where they get this technology from. They just, you know, where they get the ideas for the technology or anything. They just have it. And I guess that's something pretty cool. They get this one thing, they go like this, or the flying one. It's kind of cool. Everything we see in the future, you know, flash forward stuff that we see. But it's just how, you know, because like I said, in T2 they explained that they had the CPU from the first Terminator that gives them all the information they need to build Cyberdyne systems, Skynet, everything. Here, they just have this technology. They made it. Don't explain how. They just got it. Okay? Unless I missed something. If I missed something, then in the comments, say, you're an idiot. This happened. Let me know. But you got the TX who's going around killing resistance members, right? She's going around killing these random ass resistance members. But John Connor is her primary target. So why doesn't she go after him first? Because we know he's the leader of the resistance. If you kill him first, and then right after, because they're in the same place, kill Catherine. There's your resistance. If John Connor dies, she takes over. You kill her, who takes over? We're all dead. You know? But no, she goes after random members of the group because you gotta have a body count. I don't know. I like how she takes over. She controls other machines. That's cool. And she uses that to control Arnold towards the end. But his primary mission is still to protect John Connor. So he activates, comes back alive. I know I bitch about people bitching about CGI, but there is some bad CGI when his head's flopping off. Other than that, I think it's all right. The ending. I think the ending is what's driven people what was the point of trying to save? What was the point of T2 if this ending happened? So this whole thing has John Connor trying to stop Judgment Day again. And so the T-800 leads him and Catherine to this, him and Kate, whatever, to this underground bunker thing. It turns where they think, where, her father claims is where the heart of Skynet is. But it's not. It's just a bunker. A bunker that they've been put there to be saved. The T-800 did his job. He stopped, and it's this whole thing. When I first watched, like I said, I fell asleep. I fell asleep just as they got in the helicopter, and they were running in, and they started putting in the stuff, and I fell asleep. I woke up to the credits, I rewound it, and I saw this ending. And let me tell you, they should have ended with this one. Now, that's what soured me. This is what soured me on Salvation to begin with, is that we don't need to know what happened after this. Everything in these films, like I said with my review for the first one, is that if it ended after that, I think it'd be fine. Because we don't need to try to stop Judgment Day. We just, Judgment Day is coming. And all the pieces have been put together. Sarah's pregnant, and she's going to have John Connor. He's going to grow up. He's going to be a leader of resistance. Money changed things, sure. But this would have been a perfect place to stop. So there is no stopping Judgment Day. I know T2 is there's no fate what you make it. But sometimes destiny rears its ugly head and you have to deal with it. Whether it comes sooner or later, destiny happens. John Connor's destiny is to lead this resistance. And at the end, they ask who's in charge. And he says, I am. Boom. And then they shit on that with Salvation. That's one of the reasons why I didn't like it. Why does he have to prove he's in charge? We'll get to that. But, the ending would have been perfect. Show that there's no stopping Judgment Day. It's going to come sooner or later. It's John's destiny to lead these people. Possibly die. So there. Great way to end it. And then it made Salvation. And that's probably why I've always shat on it. Maybe it's a good movie. I have to rewatch it. I've only watched it once. Parts of it some other times. But to me, it would have been perfect you ended it here. Because that's what we were always heading towards. It's Judgment Day. It's happened. And now he's got to embrace his destiny. And that last shot where he's standing there holding Kate's hand as the bombs fall. You see the Terminator's head in the water. To me, it's one of the best endings in this franchise. I mean, each film has a little monologue at the end. But here, yeah. And like I said, I don't mind Nick Stahl's performance. He's alright. He's a little scattered, which is what John Connor would be. After his mom died, he's on his own. He's off the grid. He wants to make sure that nothing's going to happen, but it still does. And he's still trying to stop it because that's what his mother would want. And he can't. And he has to accept his destiny now as the leader of the resistance. And then Salvation ruins it. But, well, I'll have to watch it to see for sure, but yeah. So, let's see. For Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8. I think this is a decent entry. Like I said, I don't hate any of these. But I'll give it an 8. decent mark for this kind of film. So what are your thoughts on Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.